with that being said, there was a review of the original agreement, and there were some issues that needed to be addressed. The bank that is working with Christ Covenant School has since amended that contract to address our concerns. And so that whole paragraph with regard to having to wait till their loan is paid off has been removed from the contract and agreement. Mr. Lassiter is not able to be here tonight, but I spoke with him earlier this afternoon, and he is certainly okay with the new agreement that is presented, with that contract paragraph being removed. So just looking for council's approval on the subordination.
I move to approve the subordination agreement.
Second.
Have a motion made by Councilwoman Smith, second by Councilwoman Robinson, to approve the subordination agreement for Christ Covenant. Any discussion? If not, please vote by using your clicker. Motion carried. Thank you, Anthony. Next up is ordinance update.
Yes, sir. This ordinance update has to do with Chapter 32.002, and this is a concern Councilwoman Hawkins brought up previously. You'll see this has to do with the previously stated or the currently stated oversight of the police department. It states town council oversees the police department, and as we discovered, it is assumed that this is carryover from before the town had a manager form of government. So you'll see a draft ordinance amendment in your packet that removes that section 32.002 in its entirety. So we would just need council to approve that.
Motion to approve the draft ordinance amendment.
I second.
Have a motion made by Councilwoman Smith, second by Councilman Moy, to approve the removal of section 32.202. I'm sorry. All right.
Mayor,
Yeah, discuss.
Mayor. I'm so sorry. Town Manager Parker.
Yes, ma'am.
Explained the removal of 32.002, being that I pointed that out. I need for the council to give me a second. I was just handed this packet. I don't know what's in it. I wasn't here. If y'all can give me 2 seconds, or somebody identify where this is so that I can look at it prior to. Thank you, because I was just handed it. You said 127?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
page 120, in the package, number 127.
I know we in the, on time, but I just would like to actually look at it. Thank you, I have looked at it.
Okay, all right, we have a motion, so we can go to vote.
Are you satisfied with it? I know that was something, I asked that because it was something that you discovered in our thing.
Well, I'm reading it, and it is clear that it's being removed. What I would be more satisfied if it actually stated who, so it's a mayor, manager, town council, governance. So if this is removing it, who is it saying is supervising?
Thank you for asking that. So, town attorney and I discussed it in length, and we looked at the fire department, and not all departments are actually referenced in that section of the ordinance. Fire department does not have a stated section that talks about who governs the department. So taking it out really puts it more in line with how the fire department's set up. North Carolina General Statute states specifically the duties of the town, or the city manager, and one of that is oversight of the department. So I think Keene and I felt like we could keep it in there, but to try to make it similar to what is also currently in there, that's why we chose to move it and remove it entirely. In other words, it's stated in the statute, did not necessarily see the need to restate it in the ordinance.
Okay.
So that leaves, you said the fire department is not stated who's governance
It doesn't
of the
have a
fire department because it's in the original statute?
I don't know, I didn't write any of that, so I don't know exactly how those sections came to be what they are, but there's not a section that read exactly like the section we're taking out.
Thank you. And before we move ahead, we getting back to ordinances and policies and a balance of alignment. I know we had the vision setting meeting. I did not make the second one because my mother's illness. Was it discussed when we will balance these and align these and look at these comprehensively as a council so that we can have full knowledge and so that we can exert what this knowledge is instead of waiting until the time and referencing? Did we speak to that or not?
We did in a previous meeting. We talked about the fact that your council policies and procedures in March, I will bring, I think it's May, was it May? That I will bring back updates that I denote need to be made, like alderman to council, et cetera. But the council itself, you all need to review your policies and procedures to see, if you want any proposed changes. In terms of the ordinances themselves, Donald.
Thank you. I have been in contact with American Legal that handles our ordinance, and I am working with them to get the cost and the intricacies that will entail. But one of the key things Terry just said is we need to know from each of you all, as well as those of us in staff, things that we note, and we can turn that over to them as they do their work for this. Thank you.
So the Code of Ordinances, obviously American Legal, they're going to look for inconsistencies in the law. They're going to look for obvious changes, i.e. alderman to city council. Departments have been instructed to start reviewing their respective sections to see what, if any, changes there need to be. Don and I are working together. We know of some changes that we need to make. But again, council needs to look, I'm not asking you all to read every page, but to look through the Code of Ordinances to see if there's anything you have questions, concerns, et cetera, about. So if we want to change substantively what a section says, American Legal won't know to do that until we decide as town council to do that.
Sure, and I think that is something that we have been doing as it has arisen. As you know, the ordinance is huge.
Yes.
And we did go through it at one point, the ordinances. And so as we come, they're intricate. So when you see things and you point them out, however, I don't know if we mentioned that we could have a workshop where we went through it. That's what I recall. And so that is why I brought it up. I also do, now that you bring it up, Town Manager Parker said that by May,
Yes.
you would look through it and then come back with some things that can be balanced.
The policies and procedures for council, yes.
Right.
Yes.
But I faintly remember that we said there would be a workshop. Now, I can go home or throughout the week and look through, and so what do? The process. I'm looking through, if I identify something that could be questionable, do I bring it to you?
Yeah.
The town, and then somebody get back to me? How does that work?
Well, I think, again, Don's gonna get the cost for a recodification, I'll call it. But before we actually undertake that, we internally, departments need to go through their sections, and any changes, obviously, we'll bring forward to council. But as you all see, anything that you have questions, concerns, or want to see changed, please reach out, and then we'll try to include that in the recodification. That is not going to be a quick process. That's going to be a multi-month process.
Sure.
Yes, if you have something, concerns, questions, or whatnot, if you'll reach out to me and copy Don, that way we can work collaboratively to make sure that we're addressing these things. That way, we can get back to you all, and we can try to decide if it's something that needs to be handled in a more timely fashion before the recodification as a whole. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I think I'm just speaking to, not trying to be adversarial or extend the time on this, but I think as a council and a manager and clerk, if we're all on the same page,
Sure.
when something comes upon us,
Right.
we'll know where we are, as
Absolutely.
opposed to trying to dig through it. So that is my point.
Yeah, of course, when American Legal goes through it, they will be looking at inconsistencies, cross-ups, and they will look at it from the state of the law as it presently is for any conflicts and all. So, we may have, we want to change this or this. Well, there may be a law that overrides that, or vice versa.
Hopefully that would catch things like we just changed. But I do know that we've talked about several things. I'll bring up parking. And how we address that. I mean, we may need to have workshops, more than one, depending on what you all want to see changed, but if anything. But again, it's just gonna take some time. We may have a better understanding once American Legal gets their proposal, maybe projected timeline back.
Yeah. I'd be remiss also to say, and you sort of alluded to it, Ms. Hawkins, it's a rather lengthy document. And of course, it is not set in concrete because each year things change. The legislators change things that may impact our ordinance, and so they're.
Well, let's say it is set in concrete until something changes.
Right.
I mean, because it's tantamount to law, so it is the local laws for the town. But you are correct, if something changes at the legislative level.
From the state,
yes.
state level.
Right. And that will always supersede anything that we've got locally.
All right, we have a motion and a vote that needs to take place. Yeah, you haven't voted.
This is voting on the ordinance
Yeah.
amendment.
Voting on the ordinance amendment. Motion carry. Thank you, y'all. Next up is cemetery expansion project update. Manager.
I'm going to ask Mr. McGuffin to come to the podium, please. Cliff's been working with me to try to get some pricing on what it will take to finish the roads, curbing, gutter, et cetera. The look on Cliff's face tells me that we don't have anything yet.
I just have the one price I gave to you. The other ones are, they want it to be staked by an engineer before they'll give us any bids on it.
So Cliff reached out to multiple companies, and we received one bid back from that company, and it was, I believe it was Bobby Tripp, Cliff?
Yes, ma'am. You want the amount?
Yes.
$256,000.
Even?
Pretty sure.
That is to pave.
That's the road type curb, so there's not a trip hazard. It's
Right.
kind of flat curb, asphalt, rock, just to have the roads completely done.
asphalt and rocks.
Yeah, so you got to put your rock down first,
Right,
pave
yeah,
over that,
make a bid.
and then, so you
basically
subgrade,
turnkey.
basically. You
Okay.
put your subgrade in, any undercutting that has to be done,
Uh-huh.
then they'll put the curb down, then the asphalt.
And no one else bidding on this?
Because, and Willie may know more, they're looking a number, grade-wise, to make sure everything's gonna flow and drain like it's supposed to. So unless it's surveyed and staked by an engineer, they don't want us.
Well, we want to make,
Give us
I
the
ain't trying to be, we
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
make
I'm
sure
with
it drains and flows.
That's right.
Correct.
But that's an additional cost, and I've
Right.
talked to Wooten, about it, and they said they can do it, it's just a matter of getting on the schedule. So we're still waiting for a definite answer from them.
So we wanted to bring the progress to date.
Okay.
I don't know how to say this other than, not every project requires it to be engineered.
No, and if you go out there and look, it's, the way the land lays, all the water's gotta go that way. I mean, but I completely understand from their side of it,
As
to
do
cover
I.
themselves, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, because as we hear, water is an issue.
Oh, yeah.
And even the dead want to make sure. that
Yeah,
they-
so with the work Willie did out there, staff finished up from Public Works, and Willie can touch better on it.
Yeah, there's no way water's gonna stand out there.
Okay,
That land is sloped enough, when I cut the road in,
uh-huh,
it's gonna run off.
okay, all right. Just want to make sure.
But we desire direction from council. If you all want us to have it staked and engineered, we're happy to do that. It's just gonna extend it a little bit.
And if we go through the expense of doing that and having an engineer look at it, what would that allow us to do, which is better than what we're looking at with the rock, asphalt, and the roll curve?
It would allow you to get 3 bids.
It'll give you competitive pricing to consider.
So it just allows us to get more bids,
Yeah,
Yes,
because
ma'am.
currently we only have
but we
one.
have to pay the engineer to get more bids.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, apparently other companies require that in order to, right.
too, Right.
And the engineer even disclosed to me, said, man, I really hate for y'all to have to pay us to do this, being you have a bid and they're gonna stand behind their work, but, it's,
And we're positive that we're good with, we know the water is going downhill.
I
It's-
can't guarantee it, but.
Well, we're
I'm
not-
Well, we
pretty
can't,
positive.
correct. And we're
And I don't know if
extending
any
the
of you guys,
length.
if any of y'all have visited the new cemetery.
I
but
have,
You can, there's definitely a fall.
yeah, I have.
I don't know, I think I don't know about getting the cost of an engineer, but maybe, giving, I've not been there, but giving council more time or giving more time to look. These are cemeteries with people's loved ones, and it's not an exact, and we know things change, but we don't want flooding there where people's loved ones are, and we want to make sure that it is at the highest of quality, right? I know the gentleman said it's a slope. I've not seen it. I don't know if anybody, you know,
As I
else
recall,
on
it's
the
also.
council's seen
I'm
it.
sorry.
But I'm willing to go out there sometime this week and actually look myself, being that this week is going to be raining all week, just to actually see how that looks.
I mean, anybody wants to go, just give me a call or email or let, Terry know. We'll be glad to meet you out there.
Are they willing to deduct the price of the engineering from the
ma'am.
project cost?
And I have this specific quote from Tripp Brothers. It's $257,919.50.
Mark that as I was wrong.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, mark that as I was wrong.
And this has been one of those long projects. Been going on a long time. No harm meant, I'm not being awful about it, but the people who die in Winterville that want to get buried in Winterville are having to go to Aden or having to go, I don't know if are they burying in, I don't even know if they're burying in Aden, but I know that Homestead, they're having to go to Greenville, for their, the families are having to go there. I would like to see us get our cemetery open, and I mean, it may sound very elementary to some people, but people are coming to me, and I guess it's because of my age, and they're saying, when are y'all gonna be able to sell me a plot in Winterville, you know, so.
I was just asking because I'm more concerned about bidding, the bidding process. I don't want anybody saying, you know, that we don't do our bidding right. And I know we do our bidding right, but just want to make sure the process,
Oh, that's fair.
you know.
I
Do you have any idea
understand
how
that,
long
too.
it will
Right.
take to get on, you said to get on the schedule with the
I'd
survey?
have to check with our engineering firm again. Surveyors, as y'all know, takes a pretty good while to get a surveyor on site, depending on workloads. I would, scared to say, but I would say at least a few months before you would get a surveyor on site.
We'll try to get them,
But that would be, I mean, they would know better than I would.
we'll try to get them to expedite it. As soon as we get an answer, we'll let council know via email what the timeframe looks like. We will reach out. But as folks continue to ask, please let them know. We're trying to move forward expeditiously. I will also say that next month I'll be bringing and reminding this council what the new regulations will be in that cemetery expansion area, which is going to be quite different than what folks have been historically used to. Some will not like it, but it's what you all voted on, and staff agrees it's the best thing.
Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cliff.
Thank you, Cliff.
So I just want to make sure I got it clear that what we're going to do is going to go ahead and have the engineer to come out there and
survey.
survey it. That's the right thing to do, because to me, a cemetery is not for a 6 months or a year situation. You're talking about a lifetime setting. So I say to us, yes, that's the very right thing to do. That's what I would love to see. Don't get me wrong, staff, I believe what you say. Don't ever take that wrong. But that's the reason why we have the other folks that are into the business too. So with your recommendation and with theirs, it will put a little bit ease on my mind, on my feelings for the long. For the next generation. Let me say that, for the next generation.
Let me just be clear that it does not mean that these companies can still not decide not to bid.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So,
Right.
just so we're all working off the
Yeah.
same page.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ms. Parker, do we need a motion that's council's desire to get an engineer and go that way?
It might be a good idea. Mayor.
Thank you.
It might be good for the record.
Oh, for the record, okay, I was gonna say,
Yes.
because I didn't think it. Okay, if you fix a slide, Willie, for a motion, please.
Might need to make the motion.
Well, yeah, we need somebody to make the motion, but he needs to be working on the slide.
Yeah, I know.
I'd like to make a motion that we get an engineer to conduct a survey on the Winterville Cemetery.
I'll second that motion.
Have a motion,
Go ahead. Then I was gonna ask Councilwoman Hawkins if she'll
Go ahead.
update her motion.
go ahead.
Will you include the word expansion in the motion so that we know we're just talking about the new area?
So I'd like to make a motion that we get an engineer to do the survey on the expansion within the Winterville Cemetery.
Thank you.
I'll second that
All right.
motion.
So we have a motion made by Councilwoman Hawkins, second by Councilwoman Robinson, to have an engineer to look at doing the expansion of the cemetery. Correct?
A survey
A
of the
survey
expansion.
of the expansion of the cemetery. All right? If no other discussion, you may vote. Motion carry. Thank you all.
Thank you.
New business. NCDOT Old Tar Road widening options, widening options. Anthony?
Good evening, Mayor and Council again. Tonight we have before you are items associated with the Old Toll Road widening project. These are betterment discussions that need to be had in order for us to communicate with NCDOT about our council's thoughts with regard to how they want to proceed with the planning. So NCDOT reached out to us, had several questions. I laid them out in the abstract. I'll kind of go through those and then get guidance from the council if that is the council's wish. But, you know, ideally, we'll be able to make some decisions tonight and then provide them with feedback, NCDOT being them. So the first item are black pole and mast. And I included in the agenda packet a picture, if you have that in front of you, an example of what Greenville is recommending. NCDOT says this is considered a betterment, and this is the picture that I'm referring to.
Just given the page number.
Yep.
131.
And so, as you can see in that picture, it's not your old style with a wood post and a wire hanging across the intersection. It's the more it's an actual pole with a mast that comes across the lane. And so, if their standard in this matter is a silver, it's not coated black, and so in order to go with the black coating on each pole, it's $5,000 additional cost. Not required, it is an option. There are planning to be 12 poles in this project in the Winterville jurisdiction, and so that would be a cost of $60,000 to the town for that. Again, I'm bringing this to you for consideration because Greenville has already decided to use these, and so didn't know how strongly the council felt about continuity from town to town, or how the highway would change as you traverse from Winterville to Greenville.
Anthony, would you talk about if we don't do the same as Greenville, what it will look like?
Yeah, so I mean, you'll get to probably basically the creek, and then whatever decisions they make once you leave the city limits. Once you get to that area, it'll convert over to the decisions they've made, and from there on into Greenville.
Any idea what they would put up, how it would look?
Yes, they've recommended a black pole in this instance.
Okay.
And they're doing it all over the city, look like, because I seen them working on some, I think on Greenville Boulevard. They was over on Greenville Boulevard.
That's correct.
Doing some, right there by the convention center. For continuity.
If you want me to go through all of them, give you a minute to process of the whole thing, and then come back and take a vote, make a decision on each one after you've heard everything, or we can do them one at a time. Either way, just whatever y'all prefer.
So our recommendation is that we vote on each one of them individually.
That's up to y'all. However, if you want to hear all of it and think about it and process it, and then come back and take a vote or provide guidance, then that's up to you. I mean, if you just want to take them individually and go to the next item, we can do that too.
Well, let's look at them all real quick so we kind of have an idea of what all,
The whole
the
process.
whole
Okay.
thing before.
So the next thing would be the street signage. Your typical NCDOT street signage is on a post on the corner of the intersection. If you will go back to that picture on 131, you see signage on the mast. That is a green sign with your standard reflective writing on it. That is not a lit sign or backlighting. There's no electricity to this. It's just a standard sign. The other option is a lit sign that's actually has lighting behind it. You see this in larger cities a lot of times where it stays lit comes on with the photo cell, comes on at night, but is available lit up. And so one of the things you want to consider here is anything above the post on the corner is going to be a betterment. He did not give me the price of just the sign, but I do know that the sign that is backlit, that is illuminated, is $1,600 per sign. And so this would be an estimated $19,200, because we wouldn't recommend putting those at on every mast. It would just be select ones as you go into Greenville. So the town main point here, again, these are betterments, so the town would be responsible for that in the future. And so any maintenance to a lighted sign or illuminated sign would be the town's responsibility. We would have to do the work on it ourselves or contract that out. So I would probably personally stay away from that one because of the long-term maintenance that it goes along with it and damage and upkeep. But, you know, we can certainly do that if council feels like it's warranted. The next item goes to your median design options. So basically, there are three options. You can have it grass, cap covered with concrete, or plantings. And the city of Greenville has decided to go with the plantings. This would be native vegetative plants, no trees of any significant size. From my understanding, it would all be small shrub type or lilies, things of that nature. The general maintenance on that would probably be mulching a couple times a year and maybe spraying with Roundup. If you go with a capped concrete, they're just gonna go out there and pour concrete, and it's gonna be, you know, solid concrete, and there will be no future maintenance with that until it starts to deteriorate, crumble, or, you know, weeds and stuff come up in the cracks, and that does happen. And then grass, and the grass would be standard grass, but it would again require us to maintain it and mow it. DOT's going to do basically 2 mowings a year, and so it's going to probably not look the best in the world. We already mowed several areas in town, including Highway 11 and Old Tar Road currently, but the city has decided to go with the plantings. And, you know, the other thing about grass is you're always having employees in that, maintaining those. And so the planting option would reduce that to a couple times a year, as you wouldn't have many people in that area working as often as frequently.
So a quick question on that one. So there's not a cost here, but just the contract for the maintaining in between the state.
That's correct. They will put in the
They'll do the
plantings,
plantings.
but after that, then that's our responsibility to take care of it. So if the plantings were to die or so forth and so on, we would have to maintain those.
So no upfront costs, but the ongoing maintenance.
Correct. And then street lighting, this technically does not have to be, this is not with NCDOT, but they want to be aware of what our decision would be. And so the design of this Old Tar Road widening project will have sidewalks on both sides. And so we would follow GUC standard on street lighting. So the street lighting option is 120-foot alternated. So about every 240 foot, you would have a street light to cover the sidewalk. But that's their standard policy. We couldn't go any further than that. So those would be at a cost, like we do all the other streetlights that are in Greenville GUC's territory. They are predetermined based on their fee schedule, and I don't have that number because it would depend on if we what the council decided, if they wanted them every 120 foot or if they just wanted to space them out further.
I will denote that I do think that at least one side will be part of that overall Greenway plan for the future. So, and I'm not sure if that's right, Evan, I don't know if you remember.
It was the
That's
east,
what I thought, yeah.
east side.
Right behind.
So it would, I think our recommendation
Cedar
would
Ridge.
be, yes.
I mean, we're already talking about, we need more lighting downtown, we need more
Yes,
lighting.
yes.
I think on that road,
Yes,
we need lighting.
particularly if they're gonna have sidewalks, people are gonna
Correct.
utilize, yes.
That's just,
And when that road does get widened, and you could see a significant increase in the number of people who are actually walking in that area. While you might look at it today and say, oh, there's not that many, well, the facilities are not there to
Right.
promote it.
Right.
And so as you move forward with a more usable type of design, And there are gonna be people, you got a potential for commercial development on the corner of Vernon White. People may be trying to walk to that facility depending on what goes there at some point in the future, or also the grocery store.
Right.
And shopping center area down, so.
So as far as the lighting, we're waiting on details from Greenville. Do we just need to decide on, is it every 120 or 240?
Yeah, their
Is that what we do?
standard is 120 foot, so I guess my question from the council was both sides or one side? Because they're gonna put it in based on their standard, like they do all the other. So really, the only question is one side or two sides.
I think
so
both
too.
sides,
Yeah.
I mean,
You got
ain't no need
the
to
possible
light up one
greenway,
side,
and then
right,
you want.
right.
Mhm. So I would make, oh, I was gonna move to both sides, but you go right ahead.
Greenville doing both sides, right?
I'm not sure what Greenville's doing. I don't think they're adding any lighting from Fire Tower back.
Right. That's
So
right.
they're not gonna have any lighting,
Right.
like, near the old Shriners, it's the name of a church now, but like the Plant C area or, Irish Creek, that area will not have any lighting.
It'd be up to us to add the lighting from Fire Tower all the way back here to.
Well, the right side is Greenville, so it wouldn't be our option. The left side is some county, I think there's some pockets there that are in town, right near the intersection. Then there's a pocket of land area that's out in the county, so we wouldn't have authority there unless we just wanted to request it. And then, so our recommendation will be starting at the creek or the swamp,
Right.
and then, head into town.
Both sides.
I have a question. Do we have any kind of sketch or graphic design or any model or anything that can actually show us what this prospectively will look like? Because we're kind of guesstimating and we're going by what Greenville has, and this is a project that we have been speaking to, and I'm quite sure there has been something in the past, but these options, is there any way we can actually just see something? Do we have a graphic designer somewhere?
Yeah, I mean,
Something.
if you look at the photo, I mean, I think you see a median with some plantings in it. You'll see the black mast and the post and the sign. That's what they sent me. That's on page 131.
And I didn't mean to cut either one of you off, but isn't it also the YouTube video?
There is a
Aerial view.
YouTube video.
Councilwoman Hawker says a YouTube video.
There is.
We can send you that link too, or we
Yeah,
can try to
but you
play
can
it right
kinda
now. I
see.
don't know, it might be a little
Right.
tough with all the technology
Right.
issues we're having tonight, but
When was that sent out? Like, when this project was just introduced, or the YouTube video? Or how
it's
that-
been quite some time, probably at least over a year ago, if I had to guess.
But they keep updating it, because it was different from when it first came out.
Oh, there's been a lot of
There's been a
changes, but
lot
I
of
think it's
changes,
pretty
right.
set now, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, everything's, yep.
Yep.
So they're down to their last two lots, and that's why they're asking for this information now. They can't, I asked them to show me like what the medians will look like, and so everything's complicated, right? Nothing's easy. But they have changed the rules at NCDOT about what plants they can use. And so where they used to have like crepe myrtles, you see a lot of medians have crepe myrtles around Greenville, in eastern North Carolina. That's not a native plant. And so there was legislation passed that they have to use native North Carolina plants. So the crepe myrtles are gone. So that really only leaves small bush and flowering type plants. I don't think there could be anything, I do recall him saying anything that grows over 3 inches in diameter. And the reason being is if a vehicle were to hit it, they want to not have as much impact on bodily injuries.
Anthony, would you do me a favor and send out the link to council?
Yep, be glad to.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, John.
And I also just have a question about the light pole. I know it's popular, it's new. Do we know how, just a question, how sturdy. I mean, when I see these light poles and they're hanging across and it's windy, do we have any substantial time in which these have been installed in Greenville without any incident? I mean, I know we're probably gonna go forward with it. That's just my question.
I mean, I think
know I saw it
they're,
moving.
I do know that they're used nationwide, and not just Greenville. I've seen them down in Florida, areas that have, higher, chances of hurricanes and things of that nature. So I think they hold up better.
Have a-
I can't speak to the
wind rating,
specifications of them, but I'm sorry,
I was saying they have a wind rating, I just don't know what they are.
yeah. So I do think they're stronger than probably, they are designed to withhold that type of wind. Now, of course, depending on the situation, everything's subject to being damaged, in some of those natural disaster events. But I think it's a valid question and a good concern, because you don't want those coming down on anybody. But you do have a similar risk with your standard wood pole as well. Typically, what's happened is they're structured underground a little bit more concrete, more rebar, things of that nature to anchor them. Whereas a wood pole is just kind of bored into the ground and placed with the wire across. But aesthetically, and then they're much different than the wood pole with the standard wire hanging across.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we need a motion on that?
Yes, we need a motion on,
Mayor,
As in-
can we just come down through, just like he explained them, the motions
yeah,
that you want to
that's a,
do?
yeah, we're gonna go about one,
Are you suggesting individual?
Unless they're ready to do each one to do a
You got 'em
collective one.
individual? Okay.
I think it would be better
I just wanted to
individual.
make sure Willie was good on the slides.
But if we had those big signs like that across the roads, I'm looking at it, I know that we have grown, we're not Little Winterville anymore, but we want to still be different from Green. Me, you know, so that's my little
Talking
thing
about the
about it.
illuminated signs.
Yeah, I think that
Names.
people need to know that when they leave Winterville and when they leave Greenville and come into. But, you know, it's whatever the council decides. I'm willing to go either way.
I think they know it once they hit the creek, when they see it's lit up versus,
You mean the space, the dark space from Fire Tower to the creek?
right, yeah. They understand once they hit Winterville right there, when they see the
I'm
south,
fine. I'm
on
fine
both
with
sides.
it.
Both.
I'm fine with it either way.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, I
So-
am. I just thought about that.
Right,
Which you're talking about, I just want to make sure, point of clarification, you're talking about the illuminated with the street names.
Yeah.
Which Mr. Bowers already said that's a long-term possible financial thing that we'd have to deal with. Would prefer to see lighting along both sides of the street and spend monies there over, but we're gonna take these one at a time, right?
right,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. Well, all right, so like to make a motion that we do go with the black pole and mast.
I second.
Have a motion on the floor motion made by Councilwoman Smith, second by Councilman Boyd.
That says signs, we're doing the poles.
This is poles now.
This is the
The
pole.
top one is a pole.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
Oh.
interrupt, but I wanted to make sure the side, you're right. I just wanted to make sure the slide matched the vote.
Right.
And we're looking
that
at what?
I've got a screen right here.
Oh,
Yeah, it
We
says
can
sign.
see it right here.
she actually had it.
And you did say.
I do have eyes in the back.
Okay. Thought it was just
I-
some features.
I second that, and
Right.
that was the estimate cost of 60,000, is that correct? Okay, all right.
All right, have a motion made by Councilwoman Smith, second by Councilman Moy. Any discussion? If none, please vote by clicking your clicker. Motion carried for black.
I got
Black
one of those
poles,
after the fact motion. Where is that money gonna come from? Out of what fund? Electric or Public Works?
Well, we should have time to budget for that, but it would come out of our streets department, our new streets department budget. We won't have to pay for it up front though. They'll send us a bill as the project, so we've got plenty of time to budget for it.
Okay.
Now, the next, what are we gonna put up next?
It would be the
Signage.
signs.
Signage.
What do you say about signs? You just said that if you have lighted signs, that, it would take, it will last for a period of time, and then you have to have some maintenance work done to those eventually.
I think staff's probably
Is that
recommending.
right?
That is correct, and then
Yeah.
whatever, I don't, they did not explain to me how they would be metered as far as the cost of, from electricity standpoint.
Right.
We didn't get into the weeds on that particular item, but we did discuss that the maintenance would be ours, so I'm assuming we would get billed for it at some point. I'm struggling, I'm sorry, with my glasses.
Okay.
Just,
And with the other option that we have is which one?
So the other is your standard straight sign that would still be mounted on the mast. It would still be the town's responsibility, but it wouldn't be lit up, so you wouldn't have the chances of it. You might have opportunity to lose it in a windstorm or hurricane, something of that nature. But you're not gonna have bulbs going out, and you're not gonna have electrical problems, that kind of thing.
Now, you're not talking about the same type of signs that we have in town now, are we?
No,
talking
there will
about-
be, if we have like standard signs like we have in town now, there would be no cost for that, and it would just be on the corners, it wouldn't be on the mast, so that is an option. But if you look at the picture, this is the exact, this is the non-illuminated sign that would be on the mast.
Does it have a reflection that you can be able to see it at night, that it, you know, it will kind of
Yes, sir.
like
It's a regular,
Yeah.
regular highway sign.
highways? That's what I
Yeah,
want to make
uh-huh.
sure.
And you've probably seen, they're not necessarily the black poles with the black mast, but you've seen in these
Yes.
bigger locations, poles with the
Definitely
mast
has a
with
more
street
urban,
signs.
a more
Yes,
urban feel
yes.
to it, when you go to some of the larger cities.
One of the lighted ones I know, Mr. Moy, is at where Regency comes across there near the Lowe's and the Walmart there. That is a lit, one of their lighted signs there. I'm almost sure.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we have the ones with the reflection that I was speaking of. And I think the total cost of that will be, what, 1,600? Is that correct?
You want the illuminated or just the reflective?
The standard sign, they did not give me a cost for that, but it'll be significantly cheaper than the $1,600 per sign for the illuminated, so.
And now, the standard, with the standard size, and the standard size will be a reflection also. Is that correct?
It will not be illuminated, no lights. It will just be the reflective
Right,
verbiage.
right.
Yes.
No,
Non-illuminated.
yeah, non-illuminated.
So we're speaking of what, $1,600 per sign?
That's for the illuminated, right?
And how many signs is that, you said approximately?
Well, it would, they're, based on their recommendation, you wouldn't put them at on every pole, so I think it was around 8.
So we're talking about 8 times $1,600?
Yeah, the total cost was $19,200 for illuminated signs, but that's just the upfront cost. That's not the annual maintenance and the long-term sending guys out or getting a contractor to go work on them.
That's if you want lights.
Yeah, I think we need to be clear. When we say illuminated, Mayor Pro Tem is speaking of lit with bulbs.
No.
And standard is just reflective.
Correct.
That is more able to be maintained.
Right, when the headlights hit the light, will hit the
Right.
sign,
Right.
then you can read it. That's your
Naturally, yeah.
standard.
Right, standard.
Okay, that's the one I want.
And make
I
your
make the
motion.
motion.
I want this, make a motion for the standard signs to be placed. And that's, the cost of that is how much per
I
sign?
don't have the price
You
per
don't have
sign. He
But it's
didn't
gonna
give me-
be tremendously less.
It'd probably
than-
be a couple $100 compared to.
I second.
Okay.
Have a motion on the floor, motion made by Councilman Moy, second by Councilwoman Hawkins to what's my train of thought?
Signs.
Signs,
Yeah.
standard
Reflected.
reflected signs. Any discussion? If none, please vote. I'm sorry, that went, oh my. Yeah. That left the center. Next is the medium, design option, and I recommend, I'm just saying, I say grass, and the concrete.
Oh, no, plantings.
Planting,
not
yeah,
grass,
planting,
but
planting,
plantings,
yeah,
yes.
planting, yeah,
Keep it, keep it,
Yes.
keep it,
yeah, I mean,
Right.
planting,
keep it going.
Yes.
yeah.
Thing that would be, consistency may be important. I mean,
It is
people,
Right.
for me.
people may be asking, you know, why did Greenville get something we didn't get, that kind of
Right.
thing. I mean,
That's what I meant,
And
planting.
aesthetically, it's really pretty.
Yes.
Coming down, Hooker Road, that's really a pretty thing.
No.
I make a motion that we have, plantings.
Second.
Okay, have a motion, and a second, motion made by Councilwoman Smith, second by Councilwoman Robinson. Huh? Did I?
Moved and I seconded.
Oh, I'm sorry,
No, you're fine. No.
back, Councilwoman Robinson made the motion,
It's fine, it's fine. Go
Councilwoman
right on.
Smith seconded the motion. I gotta get it right, thank you, woo. Any discussion?
Just me.
If not, please vote. Motion carried.
The last,
Now, the last one is, street lighting.
And my motion is to have the lighting on both sides of the road.
second,
At, hold on, at 120 or, correct?
Yes.
Isn't that right, Anthony?
Do we need to designate
Yeah,
at
it would-
120 feet?
Well,
Both- or
so
you said both-
GUC standard is 120 feet alternating, so if you do both sides, it's gonna be 240 on each side. If you only did one side, then that would probably do the 120
At GUC
on
standard.
one side.
Your motion should be with GUC
It
standard.
wouldn't be alternating if you only do one side
Right.
of the street.
But we're doing both sides.
So it's going to be alternating, so they're going to be at 240 feet.
On each side.
Okay.
so it should be lit up pretty
I
good.
think I'm getting it.
But still.
Zigzag, it'll
right,
zigzag 120
But
feet.
still, is that GUC standard is 120, but it'd be 120 on the opposite side of
Right.
that. Right.
Mhm.
Yes.
So,
Okay,
so your motion could still be at GUC standard at 120 feet.
So really easy, keep it simple. Just what side? Do you want one side or two-sided lights?
Both sides.
So the
we're saying.
motion is
both
for both
sides.
sides.
Both sides.
Because their standard is their standard. We're gonna have to adhere to it
Mhm.
regardless.
So motion made by Councilwoman Smith, who was second?
Moy,
Second made, motion made by Councilwoman Smith, second by Councilman Moy to street lighting, to GUC standards on both sides, correct? Please vote. Motion carry. All right,
Good for that one. Thank you.
thank you. Redesign of town hall,
number
Financing.
two.
oh, I'm sorry. Approval of financial terms and agreement. I'm trying to get us out of here. I apologize, people.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. The town sent out requests for proposals to finance the equipment and vehicles that were approved in the budget for this year. It was a total amount of $631,000. There's a bid tab included in your agenda that shows the interest rates that we received back. We received back from First Citizens Bank, Truist, and Southern Bank. First Citizens was able to provide the lowest interest rate at 4.37. They're able to combine the loans into one loan and give us separate amortization schedules. The town will finance Christmas lights and decorations, a John Deere Gator, Public Works service body truck, crew cab truck, mini excavator, and a paving head for a 3-year term, and then a sewer crane truck and a sewer pump replacements for a 5-year term. So we're asking council to approve the financing terms and agreement to finance with First Citizens Bank at the 4.37 interest rate.
I move that we move forward with that financing.
I second it.
A motion made by Councilwoman Smith, second by Councilwoman Robinson to move forward with the financing through First Citizen, correct? All right, any discussion? And,
Mayor, and could that motion include in the acceptance of each resolution for each individual item? Because your package, you'll see that there is a resolution for each item.
Okay.
So I move that we move forward with the financing through First Citizen and adopt each of the resolutions for the individual items.
Second that.
Okay. We have that motion and that second. Any discussion? If none, please vote by using your clicker. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, redesign of town hall and downtown parking. Okay, that's on Anthony.
So tonight we have before you redesign of the town hall and downtown parking. This isn't a total plan for downtown, but it is the general area around the town hall, the fire department, and the town square. Do we have the pointer? There we go. All right. So tonight, staff was directed to look at the parking situation around in the town hall and the downtown area. This is kind of like the first phase of it. Some of it came about years ago with the square area. So if I can show you directly to the screen, what you see, the green area right here is the town square. This is the town clock, little concrete pad that comes up to that. Your town library right here. And this is the fire department, town hall, and coming across the back is Church Street. And so historically, there was a desire to make this area, as you know, right now is one-way. The council was interested in making this two-way. And when you do that, this is where our current parking is at the back. So tonight, I just kind of want to walk you through a concept that we came up with that would redesign some of the area at Town Hall, create some additional parking, and make this street two-way, which was kind of the task presented to staff. And so the first area of potential parking is this area right here at the town square. You can see, I believe there's 16 spots that's going to be added in this area right here if the council so sees fit. It will cut into the town square a little bit, but that will provide additional parking. This parking that is current, you can see currently these dark spots right here are vehicles that are currently parking in the current spots, and so they will be removed. And then you can also see there's some on-street parking behind Town Hall right here that we would lose on the street in making this a two-way street. So that was the original goal. We also looked at, how could we increase parking in this area? And so we talked about making Depot Street one way in between the town hall and the fire department. And so this would allow us to redesign the drive-through, which is terribly needed. People have a very difficult time making the turns to get out. When I had the corner office right here at Town Hall, and I could, it was pretty much every vehicle hit the curb, or, sometimes they hit the building, but, most of the time they hit the curb as they leave, and it has happened. But so this design would straighten out this drive-through, this two lines right here, would straighten this out. It would bring this parking that's on the street in some. It would create a dumpster pad that we could put a screening around. Right now, we have some vegetative debris, but the trash trucks have to come in off of Depot. So this would put it over here. It'll also give us a place for a generator. The council has said that they wanted a generator for emergency power at Town Hall. This design would include that. And you can see this is 17 additional spots right here. And the good thing about this parking, making it one way, is it gives them basically direct access to downtown, to the businesses. And so it will give them, a short walk to patronize businesses. The other opportunity here is this little island. This is currently where our town sign is. If the council wanted to, during this project, we could remove that current sign and put up a new one that might be electronic billboard type material.
Yeah, we think that's a good idea, to be able to have rolling messages that people
Promote town
can
events,
see.
things of
Right.
that nature, public service announcements and so forth. So this is the initial layout that we came out with. Before we went too far with the project, there are a ton of utilities in this area. So to be very direct, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of utility work on the backside of this to make this happen, on this corner, in this area as well, behind Town Hall. And I'd also like to see what we can do about this corner right here, because the sidewalk just abruptly ends and doesn't go into, so there's no continuity in the sidewalk there. So we would, make it a little better flowing for pedestrians to get to our town square events, that ones that park over here.
So where you need a motion?
Got a
All right,
question. Got a quick question.
okay.
The question is, right behind the fire department is, it's where most of your the firemen park at for emergency, especially the volunteer. I mean, close, you need to be able to come in, jump out, get on the truck as quick as possible. You don't need to have to get out in the truck a long distance. Or if we have someone downtown who's already got those parking spaces already filled. So for emergency situation, where would they park at? I think that's my
I
question.
mean, they would ideally park over here or directly across the street. I mean, they could pull in here and, I mean, they would have to cross the road, which is not ideal, but if you're gonna get rid of the parking behind the building to make this a two-way street, they're either gonna have to park here or here.
But I thought those ones that we had designated on this side over here was for the businesses.
We didn't designate, these are just public parking.
It'll just be public parking spaces like all of them.
All of them will be parked.
Yeah, these are not currently, I could be wrong, but I don't know that these are
They're not dedicated.
dedicated either. That's typically who uses them, but
And I believe in more recent years, the dedication went away.
So do we have a dedication park for emergency staff? Do we need emergency parking for our emergency staff?
Chief, if you're going.
Chief,
Yeah.
come to the podium.
I just want to make sure because, every second count, every second count.
Every second does count, but those parking places are generally blocked because there's not very many of them. So with the parking places beside the drive-through, you're gaining more parking places than what we have now.
But there's no guarantee you're gonna have those.
That's
I'm talking-
correct.
but that's gonna be
But there's
positive.
no guarantee now. Most people are parking on the back pad because they can't find a parking place.
Well, they're parking places, and if you're talking about people coming up in a quick minute, that's one thing, but the employees that are on shift don't necessarily have to park behind the station. I mean, they can park.
Yeah, there'll be more parking places than there are now.
So you good with that? With
Oh,
the
yeah,
design?
we'll be better off,
Okay,
much better off,
Theoretically.
hopefully.
thank you, Chief. I rest my case.
All right,
The agenda says you guys want feedback and possible approval. I like the plan. And
Yes,
I make a motion that we move forward with approval of this concept plan.
I second.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Smith, second by Councilman Moy, to approve the the concept of this plan, this parking plan. Any discussion? If none, can you please vote, please? Thank you for getting this back to us.
And we have, I believe we have money in this year's budget to move forward with the engineering on it, so we'll be in touch with them and get that project moving forward, start getting cost estimates available and looking at the utilities that have to be moved and everything associated. Thank you.
Appreciate staff putting that together.
Okay.
Well done. Good concept.
Next is Cooper's Cup parking. I ain't know where you was going.
I don't have my abstract in front of me, but as you may recall, in the essence of time, you know, the owner came before the council requesting a dedicated parking for his business. It is up to the town council, but it is staff's recommendation. It is currently designated as public parking, and we don't have any public parking that is dedicated specifically to one business. Now, we do have some spots that are 5-minute loading zones that are used in front of the dance academy for kids to get dropped off.
Is that one?
I believe there's two.
There's two.
But they are not dedicated to that business. It's just
right.
5-minute loading zones.
Well, and I will say that well, first of all, the signs are faded. They need to be replaced if we're going to replace them. But people stay parked there way more than 5 minutes. So it's not really serving the purpose of what they were designed for.
In talking with the Chief Williams, he indicated he had concerns with enforcement.
Yes.
I don't know how you would enforce, you know, what patron goes to what business in that situation. So that was one concern since he's not here, but.
And if they've been there longer than 5 minutes, I mean, we don't have staff to go by every 5 minutes and mark a
Marking the
tire and
cars,
check
right.
and.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not really sure that they're meeting the desired need from the dance studio. So I think staff would also recommend that they're not necessary.
And perhaps the additional parking, when we finally get this taken care of, might help those businesses a bit without having to designate any.
And then also looking at the striping project, you know, including additional parking as you go north on Railroad Street, on the west side of Railroad Street. There's parking there, but because they're not marked, I think a lot of people don't feel comfortable doing it. So I think adding those spots as a dedicated may give them the little light bulb to go off. Oh, it's okay.
And what about the lighting down that way? It's not that great either. If you go down even further, then plus you don't have sidewalk down there.
Yeah, we'll be glad to take a look at that. No, there's no sidewalk down there.
And in defense of our council's decision to give those to the dance school, we had little girls coming out, and we had a nightclub next door. We wanted to try to increase that feeling of safety for those parents and those
No, I mean, we were totally
at that time.
understood, yes.
But
and
things have changed somewhat now.
what-
Now, I would just say with the dance studio, just communicating with the owner, maybe going in there, just letting them know that some people are there more than 5 minutes, and maybe they can encourage those who park there. Of course, everyone who parks there are not doing the drop-off, you know, and picking up, but if they, you know, just amplify a little bit more, it may help. And maybe we could even put something of that, I don't know, wording or encouragement in our newsletter in the future, just to be cognizant of others. So just, you know, expanding that communication in that sense. But dedicated parking, I don't see a reason for that.
We also have people continuing to park across the street where those spaces used to be, parking illegally, and that's a continuing problem.
Okay, next up? No, we don't need no motion on that.
No, not unless you want
Unless
to
you're
direct
gonna
us to
designate a
install
sign.
it.
Yeah, next up is, the, electric, relay, proposal,
Ms. Parker? So you
Yes.
just, no motion to be made, just
Not unless
go
they,
it
not
as
unless
per
council,
discussion.
Yeah, that's a discussion only.
not unless you all were directing us to do something.
Ron, you on deck?
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. I'm seeking approval to give R-Grid Power, permission to replace 4 breakers in our Church Street substation. The displays on these relays have gone out. They've been out for a little bit of time, and they're important for our switching, our reliability, and, taking care of the station and the town and keeping the lights on mainly.
It's important.
So you need a motion?
Yes, sir.
I move that we
They
approve.
don't have to be bidded on?
Yes.
Work?
We did do an RFQ for qualifications. We did 2 different RFQs because the first one we lacked, getting anybody to submit their qualifications. So we did another one. R-Grid was the one that we selected because they were the only ones that put in their qualifications. R-Grid's a good company, and they'll do the town a good job for us. They have a lot of experience in substation work.
Councilwoman Robertson, so they went through the process.
Right. As long as you, twice, yeah, because
Yeah,
through the
twice.
RFQ, I mean, you know, it's up then to. All right, so who made the motion?
I make the motion that we approve the contract to our grid power.
Okay.
I second it.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Smith, second by Councilwoman Robinson. Any discussion on this? If no discussion, please vote by clicking the clicker. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Next up is our representative to Mideast. Y'all know I wanted to cut Mideast out, but was my thing.
We're still currently a member.
I know, but I just.
From your agenda abstract that I submitted, as we know, Ms. Robertson stepped down from the board.
Right.
And we need to elect a representative. And speaking with Mideast, it can be an elected official or a member of town staff. So with that being said, you all can discuss and/or please make a suggestion and appoint someone to that.
Well, again, I said again, Mideast is great. But, I mean, for that town our size, we really don't get any benefit out of Mideast. And I appreciate Ms. Robertson serving, and she did a great job, you know, and we were supportive of it. But I think now it's kind of like we're moving on. You know, if it was beneficial to us, I still like to stick with it, send somebody, but I don't think it's beneficial to us.
So may I ask, the statement was made that we are still currently a member. For what length of time is that membership still, or is there an option for us to withdraw?
I think it follows the budget year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Yes.
pay it by the year, and the county is a member. Greenville is a member. I mean, I think that there are some services that are available that we may use, but we don't need to use them. We've got staff to do it. We are bigger than a lot of the towns and cities that are part of Mideast. But overall, I think having that organization, state organization, fall back on, it's just like when you do your resume. You know, there's certain things that people look for you to have up there. And I do think that they do provide services that we could use, but in our case, we have staff that takes care of that, like that updating of our zoning ordinances. They did that for some of the towns and cities in the group. They do provide, they write grants, you know, they do planning. Hopefully, we're gonna have someone here in the career
NC Works.
NC Works program, working here to that succession that we're talking about. you know. So, and in that, we're also getting people to see what jobs they can do. And, I am resigning Mideast, not because I don't like Mideast, but because of health reasons.
How much is the membership?
Have to refer to Don,
How much? Yeah.
just an
I think it's
estimate.
about $1,000.
It's
It's more
between
than that.
1,000 and 1,500, I
Yeah.
believe.
I think it's closer to 15, if not a little
We're
more.
one of the, and that's one of the bigger contributors
Right.
to it.
Yeah, we're one of them.
Greenville's a member, Greenville gets services from them. So, you know, you're talking about Washington gets services from them. And Washington's about the same size that we are now. But of course, both the county, Pitt County, all get services from Mideast. If you were to see the expenditures of the budget, you see that there were projects that Mideast has handled for both of those entities.
I would say if Mideast is not directly benefiting the citizens here of Winterville, for example, NC Works, if they are not directly, or if we don't have a history of them directly impacting our youth, our elderly, whoever are looking for job, employment, and seeking that and skills, and I know they are beneficial, but we're talking about directly impacting us here in our population. So to linger on with them, would it be beneficial? I don't see any benefit unless we can fine tune their purpose, right? If we can fine tune what we're using them for, utilizing the name, and it's great if it is beneficial. And if it's not, we don't need it, that's unfortunately.
Well, when our students, youth, adults go to the NC Work Center, that's Mideast. It doesn't matter where they're from. And I know that we do have people in Winterville that make use of the NC Work Center. And so that's one area that I know that they do impact our community.
Sure.
I would hate to see us withdraw. Of course, I'm one vote. Also, you have to think about it too. It benefits us if we ask for the services or we need the services. But you also have to realize that it is a regional organization. And we are part of that region, I think it's Q.
Region Q.
Region Q, we're part of that region. And our mayor can attest, the other counties, the other cities, most of them are low wealth. So you're talking about this organization that can help our region. Also, you gotta think about not only helping Winterville, but helping that whole region, those 5 county regions, Mecklenburg, I don't know why I'm thinking Mecklenburg, Martin, Beaufort, Hertford, Bertie, and Pitt.
Yes.
The 5 county region.
Ms.
So I would say-
Sharpson, how often do they meet, the board?
It's about every other month.
Every other?
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I would say if we could show, just like you just explained, Councilwoman Robertson, the benefit, I think that would help whomever is going to represent it. I know I've learned of Mideast from being on another board, but directly affecting or seeing testimonies from those who are here in Winterville, and I know it's regional, it would be great to, what you just said, help me to learn a little bit more about it. I know there are skills that they help provide. There are some jobs and resources that they give, but I know of no one here, myself, who has been directly affected. So if there's a way we can perhaps have them come with a table or something at some event to show that direct connection, and then we can utilize our Chamber of Commerce in some way, maybe connecting with them to amplify it. That is.
The director is willing to come and make a presentation to us. All we have to do is request.
And in all,
That could, that's something that we can do, because I joined Mideast, I became the representative because I did not know what Mideast did. And, after getting there and learning and seeing and working, I've learned that they are essential to our region, and they do offer services, but I noticed that there was duplication in services that we provide, that they provide, and that's why we don't use as much of their services in that category. But when it comes to job training, that's, you know, all of it, the rest of the services are at request.
so Mideast is not standalone, it's a council of government, and those organizations exist throughout the state. They're not all Mideast, they have various and sundry names. So I think most of the more metropolitan cities and towns go through a similar issue, where a lot of times these councils of government, and they offer different things, but they work with the cities and towns that need more assistance.
Yeah.
However, it is not uncommon for us to be members of our council of government. We have been a member a long time. In fairness, I do think it would be important to see what information that they can offer, come make a presentation, so that you all can make an informed decision about future membership. And honestly, it's $1,500 a year, and I'm not suggesting that we pay that if it's of no benefit, but the fact that we, being the second biggest municipality in Pitt County, and the dues we pay, I mean, it's part of their budget, so at least if we're gonna consider not being a member, giving them plenty of notice so that they'll figure out how to recoup that budgetary cut.
So could we, I need to make a motion that I make a motion that we invite Bryant Buck to come to our next meeting and, speak to us about Mideast and its services.
Second.
Oh, and my question is, do we have a council member that is interested in it, or a staff member?
Once we get more information, perhaps myself or anybody else, and with Dr. Harrell not being here, that will give her the opportunity to get more information.
Okay.
So,
So there is some interest.
yeah.
So we have a motion on the floor, motion made by Councilwoman Robinson, second by Councilwoman Hawkins, to invite Mideast to come to our next council meeting to present a presentation, correct? All right, please vote. Motion passed. Thank you. Stormwater appointment, Stormwater Advisory Board appointment.
Yes, sir. If y'all remember, a few months ago, y'all appointed all the Stormwater Advisory Committee members. At that time, we did not have an alternate application. Don has sent me one, so this is just appointing an alternate to the Stormwater Board.
So moved.
Mr. Raymond James.
So moved. Got a motion?
Thank you.
Second.
Second. Motion made by Councilwoman Robinson, second by Councilwoman Smith, to appoint Raymond James as the alternate on the Stormwater Board. Please vote. Motion carried. Don, you have to contact Mr. James.
One of us.
Okay, all right. Other agenda items? Items for future work, for the future agenda and future work sessions.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Vision Zero Steering Committee,
Yes, ma'am.
when will we know to get, when will we know who's appointed?
I'm gonna defer to Anthony.
I think it's me.
So we'll certainly reach out, now that the council give us some direction to, pretty much everybody's already agreed to it. I think there's a couple, that we're still waiting on from the religious community. And as soon as we get those couple confirmations, I'll work with Kat Dell, our Safe Routes to School coordinator, and make sure she's been in contact. We kind of split the group up. I contacted a few, she contacted a few, and so once she gets those confirmations, we'll be able to move forward with scheduling our initial meeting, and then from there, we'll schedule future meeting dates and things of that nature, and then develop a process for looking at what agenda items to bring forward and how that process will work. But pretty much all of them are agreed. I think we may be missing two right now, two confirmations.
Thank you. Announcements, Don?
Okay, gotta get down here to them. Okay, Planning and Zoning Board meeting will be next Monday, February 17th, 7 p.m. here in Town Hall Assembly Room. On Tuesday, the 18th, Mideast, speaking of Mideast, the Digital Inclusion Plan Open House will be held at Pitt County Agricultural Center, the Mark Owen Auditorium. That's out on Circle Drive, Government Circle at Greenville. Board of Adjustment will not hold their meeting. They have no business for this month. Stormwater Advisory Board meeting is Wednesday, February 19th, 6 p.m. at the Operations Center. Coffee with the Cop on Friday, February the 21st, from 9 to 10:30 at Cooper's Cup. Recreation Advisory Committee will be on Tuesday, February the 25th, 6:30 in the Operations Center. The March agenda abstract items are due on Wednesday, February the 26th. Human Relations Board will be meeting on Thursday, February 27th at 7 p.m. in the Executive Conference Room. And let me back up one little bit. And I'm looking at Ms. Hawkins. I think we've sort of firmed in that on Saturday, February the 22nd, will be the Black History Month celebration or event, and it will be in the community room. Time will be forthcoming. Agenda review meeting is Thursday, March 6th, Town Hall Executive Conference Room. And then I know we're looking way ahead here, but the April newsletter information is due on March the 7th. And then next council meeting will be March 10th, 6 p.m. right here. Okay. And at any point, if you ever have any questions on when something is meeting or whatever, please just drop me an email or give me a call, and I'll be glad to get with you.
Thank you, Don. Start with Councilwoman Hawkins.
Yes, I would like to thank the council and the mayor, staff, for their thoughts and prayers for my mom, as she has been ill, but she is on the mend. And
Great
so
news.
I am happy to share that in terms of my mom. And I said, if she can make it, so can we. So can I. I did also want to share a quote, as I always share a quote. The worst thing that we can do is do nothing. Again, the worst thing that we can do is do nothing. I'm going to leave it at that. I would like to thank the staff for what they do, and I would encourage us as a manager, a council, a board, to work collectively together moving forward. And lastly, happy Valentine's Day. And I'm so glad that I'm able to hug and love on my mom this month, and I encourage you to do so with your family as well. Thank you.
Councilwoman Smith.
Thank you. Hope everybody has a great evening until we come together again.
Councilwoman Robinson.
Appreciation to staff for all the work that they do, for all the many things that they do for our citizens, the things they do to help us govern well. And thank you, Mr. Smith, for your work on the county board and everything. And I just wish everybody happy Valentine's Day also.
Councilman Moore.
Yes, I would like to thank the staff and for all that they do also. Our great citizens and the turnout we had tonight, the representative from each family that came out to represent their family, from the ones who have spent some time and energy and represented our great town back in the past. Also, want to know about an update on animal control. We hopefully we get some answers on that, and also on small repair project for the spring, hopefully.
Thank you, Mr. Moy. I don't have any.
And happy, I'm a little slow.
That's okay.
I guess I control it sometimes. I'm a little slow. But, and also I'd like to say happy Thanksgiving. I'm happy.
Man, you gonna know
I'm going back.
Yeah.
Happy Valentine's
Yeah.
Day.
You don't know.
Happy November.
I'm sorry, yes, I got carried away. But happy Valentine's Day to all of you.
Are you finished?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Terry,
Just wanted to remind Mayor and Council, we have a closed session.
right, and could you read the statute down there, please?
I will. It is North Carolina General Statutes 143-31811, subsection 5, to establish or to instruct the public body staff or negotiating agents concerning the position to be taken by or on behalf of the public body in negotiating, 1, the price and other material terms of a contract or proposed contract for the acquisition of real property by purchase, option, exchange, or lease, or 2, the amount of compensation and other material terms of an employment contract or proposed employment contract.
All right,
And Mr. Moy, since our vision setting meeting, I don't have an update for you on either of those items, but hope to in the very near future.
anything for you?
No, thank you.
Okay, all right. Again, thank you to the hardworking staff and to this board. Appreciate everything that you do. And we're not gonna belabor. I need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion to go into closed session. Motion made by Councilwoman Smith, second by Councilwoman Robinson. If you could please vote. Motion approved. Before we go into closed session, I do want to recognize our councilman, Mr. Mark Smith, came in. County Commissioner. Yeah, I'm messing with you.
Chair.
You rub it off on me.
No, we just a brother from another world.
Try to make it less than 2 hours. I was ready to go 2 hours.
I would too, boy. I'm just ready to go. Look where my boot, big lady is. Good time to go. I'm trying to run out my shoes, boy. need a motion to go back into open session.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion to come back into open sessions, a motion made by Councilwoman Smith, second by Councilwoman Robinson. All in favor, vote with your clicker. Unanimous. Now, I need a motion on,
I would like to make a motion that we enter into a contract with Smith and Anderson to represent the town of Winterville in contract negotiations.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Smith, second by Councilwoman Robinson, that we enter into a negotiation with Smith and Anderson to represent the town of Winterville in a contract negotiation. Is there any questions? If not, please vote by clicking your clicker. Motion approved. Now get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion made by Councilwoman Hawkins, second by Councilwoman Robinson. I'll vote by clicking your clicker. Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Thank you all.